Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new then welcome! My name is Zoe. Most people know me as Reptiles from Instagram or here on YouTube. And today's video is going to be a Meet My Pets video. So I have not done this since my very first video on YouTube, and the only reptiles I had at the time were Arcadius and Phoenix. Before I get into the video, I do want to add that I know a lot of people are scared of snakes. If you are scared of snakes, I suggest you skip the first half of this video. I will put the timestamp right here for when I move on to lizards, because I am going to start out with all of my snakes and then go on to all of my lizards. So if you're absolutely terrified of snakes, go ahead and skip to that time here. However, I highly suggest you stick around and watch, because I personally think my snakes are pretty awesome and pretty absolutely adorable. So I would suggest staying and watching the whole thing. So we're gonna jump right into it, starting with my big boy here, Kronk. Kronk is my 2-year-old 𝘬𝙪𝙨 boa. He is my biggest reptile and my biggest snake. I got him this past April, I believe, from a guy that does breed them. He didn't breed Kronk though. He was just looking to rehome Kronk, and so I took him. Now Kronk got his name because, one, Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove was a gentle giant, which 𝘬𝙪𝙨 boas are known for being gentle giants. Also, it helps me remember his scientific name, which is a Chrontophis, if I'm saying that correctly, which translates to lazy snake, which they are lazy snakes. What are you doing? So I really wanted a 𝘬𝙪𝙨 boa because they are gorgeous and just so calm and well-mannered. So they are great snakes for education programs. Not to mention they come from Madagascar, so I could talk about the fact that he is considered an old world boa. So they are just really super cool, and I absolutely love him to death. So that is Kronk, my 𝘬𝙪𝙨 boa. Alright, next up is my 2-year-old corn snake, Phoenix. Phoenix was my first snake that I got. I had a kind of a deal with myself since I was about 4 or 5 years old that the first snake I would ever get would be a corn snake, because I saw them at the zoo and just absolutely loved them and was determined to have one. So my first snake had to be a corn snake. It had nothing to do with the fact that they were beginner snakes. It had everything to do with the fact that I fell in love with them at the zoo when I was 5 years old. So she is a bit of a handful. She's a little bit of a diva. She does okay with handling for the most part, but some days she just really doesn't want to be held, but that's totally okay. So she did come from Craigslist. She was kept in a 20-gallon tall, and I mean, she was about this size when I got her. So she's probably 3-4 feet. I think my boyfriend said she was more like 4 feet. She was about this size when I got her, and she was in a 20-gallon tall, so not good at all for her. She was kept on reptile carpet, so she couldn't burrow. Now she's in a 40-gallon tank with Aspen so she can burrow, and she's been doing absolutely great. No problems whatsoever. Wonderful, wonderful little girl. I will say her sex is not known. We do say she's a female, but we don't actually know if she's a male or female. But her last owner told me they've just been calling her female, so that's just what I stuck with. So yeah, that is Phoenix, my albino corn snake. Alright, so this is Zero, my 2-year-old Mexican milk snake. So I'm not going to keep him out for long because he is about to shed. But just to kind of give you the lowdown on Zero, I drove 8 hours in one day to pick him up because I had been looking for over a year for a milk snake that was black, white, and red, and I wanted to adopt, but I looked at expos too, and I could not find one to save my life. Whole year. So finally I saw this guy on Craigslist about 4 hours away from my home, so I drove there and back in one day to get him, and I consider a borderline rescue because the home he came from was so heavily smoked in. And I mean, I am not judging people who smoke, you know, that is your business, not mine. But when you have 4 or 5 adults in one house with all of the curtains closed and you're all heavily smoking, windows aren't open, and you can barely see through the house, and you have reptiles and little puppies, that just didn't sit well with me. He felt like he had like a film on him. I left feeling like I had a film on me, and all I touched was him and the door handle. So it was not a very good environment for animals to be kept in. So I was very happy that I went down and got him, but I made the mistake of not bringing anything to put him in, which I normally always bring something, but I didn't that time, and he handed him to me in a cardboard box. Totally not snake proof at all. So when I finally got home and opened the box, he was gone. He escaped into my car. Hence how he got the name Zero, because I opened the box and there were 0 snakes inside. But luckily 3 days later he came out and I was able to snag him and put him into his new enclosure. So I'm gonna go put him away so he can finish doing his whole shedding thing, and we'll get the next one. Alright, so this here is my little nugget, Penelope. She is a Western hognose. She's just a normal one, and she is about a year old, I believe, and she's a handful. She's a very picky eater. She was consistently on frozen thawed mice when I got her, but the minute I brought her home, she wanted nothing to do with frozen thawed mice. So she has been on live mice since I got her, and I cannot convince her to switch back. So I'm continuing to work on it. But yeah, so she's starting to get a hognose attitude too. So I know that she's not a cute little baby anymore. She's still cute, and she's still little. But she is. She's getting a little hognose attitude, a little teenage attitude. So I got her a couple months ago. I got her in the same trip that I got Zero in, because like if I'm gonna drive 8 hours in one day, I'm gonna make this a really good trip. So I went down and got Zero, and on my way back stopped and got Penelope. So if I can get her to show the face. So that is Penelope. So here we have my normal Kenyan sand boa Tootsie. If you've been on my channel for a while, you'll remember when I got Tootsie. I got her back at the Erie Expo. You can't bury into my hand, I know. So I'm not exactly sure her age. If I had to guess, I would say she's about a year old. And she's finally starting to put on some weight and growth. She's not my tiny little earthworm anymore. So it's super exciting. And Tootsie got her name because her colors remind me of Halloween, and I wanted something derpy and cute because they are just such derpy and cute snakes. And she has been hands down the favorite at my reptile programs, which just blew my mind. I thought one of the bigger snakes would be. Everybody loves Tootsie. Tootsie is just the favorite. So that is Tootsie, my Kenyan sand boa. She's getting so big, makes me happy. Alright, so this is my banana ball python, Snicket. He is named Snicket after Lemony Snicket because I refused to name him anything after a banana because he is a banana ball python, and I felt like that was super basic. So my mom came up with Snicket because he's yellow like a lemon. So Snicket is about 1 year old, roughly. He was a Craigslist baby. He came from someone who was getting into breeding ball pythons, but wasn't really like a ball python breeder yet. So she had some babies that she was giving away for fairly inexpensive. So of course I snagged one because banana ball pythons are my favorite ball python morph. Because I love the colors, I love the freckles, and he is just so cute. And I actually just found out when I took him out that he shed. So it was the second time he's ever shed since I got him. Because he's a weirdo. You know, all my other snakes shed like crazy, but he just doesn't. So that is Snicket, my banana ball python. Alright, so now you notice my hands are extremely dirty, so I had to go and dig her out. But this is Tinsel. She is my Sunbeam Snake. We don't know exactly how old she is. We think about 2 or 3. Although at this point, probably more like 3 or 4 since I've had her for a little while now. So she came from a rescue in Florida. A girl in Pennsylvania adopted her, used her for education programs, then determined that she was more work than it was worth because she went on a feeding strike. And this girl's main source of income was her education programs. And she decided that Tinsel here wasn't really a good education snake because sunbeams don't really handle stress well, even though Tinsel's great with handling. This is the most I've ever seen her move. I actually think she might be in shed. She's looking a little blue as opposed to a nice black. So I'm going to put her back in a minute to explain why she wasn't too happy today. But generally she's very good with handling. She's only ever musked once, and it was a couple weeks ago. My boyfriend held her for the first time and she musked. So it's like she knows who mom is. And if you're not mom, she will musk. Of course, I was sitting on the floor and he was standing up though, so it landed in my hair. So that was my first experience with snake musk, and it was not fun. So anyway, she decided not to use her for education anymore, and she really wanted to focus on those animals that were part of her education program. And Tinsel here was just creating a lot of stress because she wasn't eating. So she decided to rehome her, and she looked for about a month for a good home for her. Everyone that contacted her she didn't feel was fit. And then I contacted her, and because reptiles are life, and I was going to school to be a zookeeper and I wanted to be a herp keeper, she decided that I was a good fit. 'Cause I mean, we talked on the phone, she asked me questions, I asked her questions, and she determined that I was a good fit. So I got her all the way from Pennsylvania. So I got her towards the end of November, hence why her name is Tinsel. I was getting into the holiday spirit. So see if I can get some of that shine for you. There you go. So that is why they are called a Sunbeam Snake. So I'm gonna go put her back since it looks like she might be in blue. Now that Tinsel's away, I just want to finish talking about her. She clearly didn't really want to be out today, so I put her away. But Tinsel was wild caught at one point. Most sunbeams are, if not all. I don't think they have been successfully bred in captivity yet. So they aren't the easiest to come by, but they aren't that expensive either because they're wild caught. But they really, as far as what I've heard, don't do well in captivity. They like to stay buried all the time. They don't really like to be handled. So I handle Tinsel about once a week just to check on her, make sure she looks okay, make sure she's still alive. So I won't lie to you, Tinsel is my most stressful animal because every time I go to take her out, I don't know if she's going to be alive or not. I don't want to sound like super dramatic, but just the fact that they are wild caught and don't do well in captivity and are very prone to stress, it is kind of scary. Every time I go in there, I don't know if she's alive or not, and I have to dig through to find her. So that's kind of the reality of owning these snakes. I will say, you know, she broke her fast. I do believe it was just a winter thing. Must be because she's wild caught or whatever the reason is. She had kind of that winter mind going on because she didn't want to eat. The minute spring came, she went back to eating, so she is consistently on live mice. They say it's super easy to switch sunbeams to frozen thawed. Tinsel says otherwise. She wants nothing to do with frozen thawed mice no matter what I do to them, and she seems to be doing really well. So I'm hoping that she can live out her life as long as she possibly can. Alright, now on to the lizards. So Pip is very jumpy. I try to work on handling with her so she's less jumpy. However, every time I take her out, she's still very jumpy. She's just a jumpy crested gecko. But she is a Harlequin Dalmatian. It's hard to see all those spots on camera, but as she's getting bigger, those spots are showing up better, which is very exciting because Dalmatians are my favorite. And she's absolutely gorgeous, and I can't believe she's still fired down. She is never fired down like this. Usually she's always fired up, so this is pretty cool. So Pip is 1 year old. I got her at the Buffalo Expo last September. She has grown so much since then. She still looks little to me, but then I see pictures and videos of when I got her, or I like compare her weight, and I realize how big she's gotten, because she was itty bitty when I got her, and sometimes I forget just how little she was. So Pip, like Tootsie, got her name because I wanted something cute and derpy. So I'm convinced that she will never drop her tail, because as you can see, she still has her tail. Well, you might be able to see in a minute if she stops moving.
Stop jumping!
So as you can see, she still has her tail. And I'm convinced that she's not going to drop it, because she is nuts. She is fearless. She has literally chased my sister's cat out of my bedroom at home. And no, I wasn't letting them out together. She was in her enclosure and the cat was walking out of the room, and Pip jumped up the glass and just kept following the cat along the glass. So Pip is fearless. I don't think Pip is ever going to lose her tail. No! Oh, my lord, Pip. No, Pip, come here. She never just sits still, so I can never get good pictures of her, or it's very rare that I get a good picture of her. So I want you guys to capture this in your memory, because this is the most still Pip has ever been, I think. So yeah, that is Pip, my crested gecko. Good boy. Alright, so this is Percy. He is my Cuban night Anole, and this is the first time you have ever seen him outside of his enclosure. We are trying to work on handling. However, he didn't want anything to do with my hands today, so I was able to get him out on a toilet paper, or paper towel tube. When my boyfriend is here, handling sessions go a little bit better, because my boyfriend has very thick skin and a great pain tolerance, so he has no problem getting bit by Percy. I, however, have a very low pain tolerance and would prefer to not get bit, so I err on the side of caution. So where my boyfriend can just go in and coax him out, even if it takes getting bit, I would prefer to not do that. I want him to come out on his own, so he clearly didn't want my hands in there. The paper towel tube didn't seem to bug him too much. However, he tried to bite it a couple times, and once he realized he couldn't bite it, he just climbed onto it. So, point for Zoe. I didn't lose any fingers. Do you want to come onto my hand? Are we going to do a handling session? Usually once he's out of his enclosure, he is fantastic. It's just in his enclosure, he's a little spastic. But as you can see, he's already lighter. When I first took him out, he was a little dark. He's already lighter. He's already calming down. When he's out, he's totally good. So let's see if I can turn him so you can kind of see him. So Percy came from the Saratoga Reptile Expo this past spring. So I don't exactly have an age on him. I believe he's probably just under a year, maybe almost a year. If you know anything about Cuban night Anoles, you know typically they are wild caught when you find them in captivity. Percy here and the girl that he was also being sold with were captive bred. So that's why he's doing semi-decent right now. Like most Anoles, he just doesn't like hands coming for him inside of the enclosure. But once he's out, he's okay. So for handling, you know, he's not too bad. I got him because I wanted another lizard that was unique for education purposes. So that's why I'm trying so hard to work on handling with him, because he would be a very nice addition. And he's not doing too bad. It's just getting him out of the enclosure that's kind of some work. He doesn't really like to be manhandled. As long as you can let him sit, he is totally content. If you try to hold him in your hands, though, he's not really about that. He likes to be able to just do his own thing. Nope, we're not gonna jump. Sometimes he gets a little jumpy. Sometimes. So that is Percy, my Cuban night Anole. You will notice that he has little lips. Nope, not gonna jump towards the camera. I do believe, and I did talk to the breeder about it, we do believe it was just from rubbing in his old enclosure. It has been healing nicely. When I got him, they were bright pink. Now they're just white and starting to heal up. and he's just a lot of fun to watch. He is very curious until you go into his enclosure, but hopefully we're going to be working on that and changing that, right, Percy boy? Yeah. So yeah, that is Percy, my Cuban night Anole. So Percy didn't want to go back in. He kept trying to climb out, and he kept jumping back onto my arm to climb out. So that made me feel loved. So anyway, next up, this is Eugene. Eugene is my very angry old man of a veiled chameleon. So I've learned, since moving here, the best way for me to handle him is by using his stick. Because it's not my hands. I was able to get him out just now in about 0.2 seconds. Where if I used my hands, I would have to also bribe him with food, and it would take me probably about 10 minutes. So from now on, I guess I'll be using his stick. Eugene was rehomed to me from someone on Facebook. I posted because I was going to the area just seeing if anyone had any animals they were looking to rehome, and they thought I sounded very qualified. They had the admin create my Facebook page, and then that admin had other admins from groups creeping my Facebook page, and they all agreed that I would be a good fit for this chameleon. So that was, oh my gosh, that made me feel so good. I mean, they all creeped my Facebook page and decided that I was a good fit. So that made me feel really good. So the people that had Eugene were very nice, God love them. They tried super hard to give him a good life. I think he was like her first or one of her first reptiles, and her wife just decided that they wanted to stick to bearded dragons and geckos. And so Eugene was just kind of sitting in their house, not getting really much love, because as you can see, he's a very angry boy. He's not hissing right now, but if I were to talk with my hands like I normally do, he would get very mad. So anyway, he is kind of an angry boy. He's done much better since I got him because I don't let him know that he is scary. I tell him he's not scary, and I don't let him scare me away. However, if you are not prepared to do that, he can seem kind of scary. And they were scared of him. It was kind of a situation where you open the door, he hisses, you throw in food, you shut the door, you run away. So he wasn't getting the love or attention that they thought someone else could be giving him. So they contacted me and asked if I would take him, and I was on cloud 9. For those of you that don't know, a chameleon has been my dream reptile. They are one of my favorite reptiles. It was a reptile that I've always wanted. Tangled is my favorite movie. I know I'm super basic. Tangled is my favorite movie ever. And since it came out 10 or 11 years ago, it has been my dream to have a chameleon named Pascal. I've always wanted a chameleon, but at that point, once that movie came out, it had to be named Pascal. Because, you know, everyone has a chameleon named Pascal, but it's my favorite movie, so I have a really good excuse. So I was super excited to get a chameleon. I can name Pascal, except there was one problem. He is a very angry boy, and he reminds me of an angry grandpa. So, not really working for the name Pascal. So I decided he's not going to be my only chameleon. I love chameleons. I want more chameleons in the future. So I'm going to stick to a Tangled theme with my chameleon names. Hence why he got the name Eugene. So that is Eugene, my veiled chameleon, who is shedding. Because you're always shedding. You can't just not be shedding once in your life. If you follow me on Instagram, then you probably already know Tansy. She's made many appearances. But this is Tansy, my baby bearded dragon. She is probably about 7 months old, 8 months old at this point, 7 or 8 months old. She was adopted from PetSmart. One of the girls that worked there knew me from school, and she contacted me and asked if I would take her because she was a special needs dragon, so they were adopting her out. So after my college graduation, I went and I picked her up. So the problem with Tansy was she was bought by some people, and I don't know if she just didn't get the right care or if she just didn't really cooperate. But basically they brought her back a couple months later, and she was not doing so hot. So where that PetSmart was, down where I went to school, there's a lot of good reptile vets. And so they did bring her to the vet like multiple times, but they were syringe feeding her for months. I think she said they had her for 6-ish months. I don't know if that includes the time that she was gone, but basically they had to syringe feed her for a while, and she got to the point where she had to be tongue fed. She won't eat bugs on her own. I've learned that she'll eat salad on her own, but she won't eat insects on her own. She has to be tongue fed. So I went from syringe feeding to tongue feeding. So salad she'll eat on her own, but bugs she will not. She has to be tongue fed her bugs. And that was just a lot to ask of someone to purchase her, knowing that she had to be tongue fed and that she was special needs. So that's why they contacted me and asked if I would take her. Bearded dragons were never something that I felt like I had to have. I knew at some point I would have one, but I was just waiting for the right one. I definitely wanted to adopt one or rescue one. I wasn't going to buy from a breeder. There's plenty of bearded dragons that need new homes. And I wanted one that was special needs, because there's so many of them. So I was just waiting for the right bearded dragon. It had to be the right one. And many of you know the story. She sent me a picture of her face, and her face was so darn cute that I knew she was the one. And Tansy has been a family favorite. My mom absolutely loves her. My boyfriend absolutely loves her. Everybody loves Tansy. Tansy's just so stinking cute. So I'm going to show you her colors, because I think she is just absolutely gorgeous. Tansy, can you say hi to the camera? Can you say hi to the camera? You want more food? Say hi to the camera. Can you say hi? So that is Tansy, my little bearded dragon. Alright, so I have here one of everyone's favorites. This is Crikey, my jeweled Lacerta. As you can see, he's getting much better with handling. He doesn't like to come out. He's still a little nuts when he comes out. But once you give him a second, he calms right down and just hangs out. See, I'm just moving him around. He's just looking around. You may remember when I did my Meet My Lacerta video. Nope, not that video. It was when I upgraded him. I showed you how he handles, and he handled awful. But we've been working super hard, and he's gotten much bigger, as you can see. And so he's finally getting better with handling, which is awesome, because that means he has the potential to be an education animal. He just needs a couple minutes to calm down. Not minutes, a couple seconds to just calm down. Usually as soon as I leave my bedroom, he's totally fine. So Crikey is 1 year old. He was a bit of a problem when I first got him, because a jeweled Lacerta was a dream of mine. Like, I'd never actually seen one in person. I couldn't find one. I have people message me on Instagram all the time asking where I got him because they can't find one. They are not easy to come by. They're not expensive. They're just not easy to come by. So when I saw Crikey at Rexpo last year, I snatched him up without realizing that he was from a not so great pet store that was known for the reptiles having mites. And he did. I found 2 mites on him. That was all I ever found though, so hopefully that was all he ever had. But I did treat him for mites and never saw another mite again. So we got very, very lucky. So even though Crikey wasn't really handleable, he was kind of a jerk, I love watching him. He is diurnal, so he's out during the day. I love watching him. He's so curious. He's got such a personality, and he's one of my favorites to keep, quite honestly. And it's a little difficult because there's not a lot of information out there on him, or on jeweled Lacertas. So you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants on what little information you have. But he seems to be doing really well. Seems to be thriving. So I'm hoping in the near future I can do a care guide for them, because everyone has been asking me, but I don't quite feel comfortable doing that yet since there's not a lot of information on them. And I've been learning with Crikey as I go. So not quite ready for a care guide on these guys yet, but he's been doing super well. So maybe in the near future. So as you can see, really, you're gonna jinx it. I was just talking about how good you've been. Nope, crikey, crikey, crikey. Where are you? Oh my lord. I was just bragging about how good you've gotten. I'm not really having to forcefully hold him. He's just kind of sitting in my hands, which is what we've been working on. You know, I don't want an animal to feel like I'm forcing them to sit in my hand. I don't want to have a tight grip. I want to have this nice loose grip that he can just sit in my hands. And so he's been doing really well with that. So you can kind of see how gorgeous he is. This is another reason I love them, because they're just so pretty. Blue and green are my favorite colors, in case you couldn't guess. So I mean, my iguana's blue. I just really like colorful animals. And since you've been really good, I'm going to put you back now. So everyone, that is Crikey, my jeweled Lacerta. So last but not least is my ultimate fan favorite pet, and pretty much the mascot of my channel and my specialties, and that is Arcadius, my green iguana, who is blue and needs a nail trim and is shedding. Dude, ow, your nails. Your nails hurt. So Arcadius is the reptile that got me into reptiles. He was my first official reptile that was mine and only mine. And if you've been following our journey since day one, he had severe metabolic bone disease when I got him. So he was a lot of work, but he was definitely worth it. Yeah, we're not gonna climb up there. That's a horrible idea. Ow, my pinky. He needs his nails cut really bad. Ow. So anyway, this is Arcadius. I actually realized today when I was going through my files that he's a year older than I've been saying. I've been telling everyone he is 3. He's actually about 4 years old now, which just blows my mind. So yes, he is stunted because of the severe metabolic bone disease. This is probably about as big as he will get. But yeah, he's 4 years old. And he was a rescue, and I love him. He is my son. And the reason that I really got into reptiles and decided that I wanted to be a herp keeper. And the reason that I love special need reptiles. Because they're just so special. And I'm going to put him away because he hasn't pooped today. And I don't want him to poop out here. I want him to poop in his enclosure because he's been doing such a good job at that. And this is a really nice tapestry that I don't really want to clean poop off of. So ladies and gents, that is Arcadius, my green iguana, because I saved the best for last. He's gonna go over to his cat tray, I think. Yep. That's the iguana corner. Alright, so that was all 13 of my reptiles. I didn't show you my isopods. I don't really count them, I guess. But if you want to see all my isopods, you can check out my Meet All My Isopods video. I go through and I show you all the different species. If I tried to do that in this video would be even longer than it already is. So yeah, if you want to see my isopods, you can go watch that video and you can see them there. This is just me, all 13 of my reptiles. I just want to thank Arm the Animals for being so amazing, because this is a sweatshirt that I've wanted for so long, because it's not just like dogs or cats, it's wildlife, it's elephants, it is like conservation. So I wanted this sweatshirt for so long, and they were so awesome and sent it to me. I'm so happy to be able to work alongside this company. When you purchase from them, part of the profit goes to helping animals, whether they're in shelters or it's an organization that helps with conservation. They are partnered with so many charities and organizations, and they donate to them. They physically help them, whether it's with websites or advertising or stuff like that. They're just such an awesome company, and so I highly recommend checking them out. Their link will be in my description, as well as my code to save 10% on your order. My code is Zoe810, in case you have a good memory, and you might be able to remember from me saying it, but it will be in the description below. So I just wanted to thank Arm the Animals so much for being such an amazing company and for sending me this sweatshirt that I have wanted for so long now. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all 13 of my animals in one video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can stick around and not miss any more videos, and we'll see you for the next one.